Welcome back to the Poultry Doc podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Blayne. Each week, we bring you board-certified veterinary guidance to help your flock thrive. Let's head to the coop. Welcome back to the Poultry Doc podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Blayne, and today we're going to do a little bit of a demonstration on vaccination, and specifically, we're going to vaccinate our birds today for fowl pox. So the specific vaccine we're working with today is going to protect for 3 different viruses. So at the center of it, fowl pox, that's the one we're concerned about. It's actually a recombinant pox virus. What makes it recombinant, it actually has the proteins for another virus called Infectious Laryngotracheitis, or ILT, attached to the outside of it. So what that does is when we give the pox, the bird responds to the pox, but it also sees what it thinks is laryngotracheitis, or LT, and mounts an immune response to all those, right? To both of those, pox and LT. Within that vaccine, there's also Avian Encephalomyelitis. So there's actually 2 viruses in the bottle, one that pox with LT on it, and then the other is Avian Encephalomyelitis. Let's talk about those 3 viruses and why we're protecting for them. So fowl pox is relatively common if you're in an area with mosquitoes, for sure, because mosquitoes are the vector for this particular virus. So if you've got mosquitoes in your area, fowl pox is one you want to definitely consider, especially if other flocks around you have had it. You know that it's in the area. Here in Texas, it definitely is. Infectious Laryngotracheitis, ILT, that's going to be one that definitely circulates in backyard flocks. It's more outbreak driven. If you're anywhere close to commercial poultry, it's going to be one you want to protect for. It causes a really severe respiratory disease. So if you've seen the birds panting, not feeling well, gasping for air, that is most likely ILT, or in many cases. We don't want to jump to that conclusion, but in many cases, it's ILT. And then lastly, Avian Encephalomyelitis, or AE. AE is a virus that causes not a lot of disease in pullets or older birds. We may see a little bit of a drop in egg production, for example, but really don't notice much going on. But what happens if they're affected, when they're in egg production, they shed that virus into the eggs until they build up a good immunity to it. But in that process where they're shedding virus into the egg, it actually causes a neurologic disease in chicks. So encephalomyelitis, swelling of the brain, is what that translates to. So you see these neurologic issues in chicks and very young birds, so a couple weeks old. If you have those issues, have you ever seen neurologic disease in chicks that are a couple weeks old? AE is at the top of the list. Probably not a vitamin deficiency. There are other things that are going to cause those neurologic signs, and AE is definitely one of them. So, for instance, if you're a breeder and you're selling chicks, this is definitely one that you want to protect your flock for, but also what you're doing is protecting your product for, right? So when you sell those chicks, you want to make sure they have a good, healthy life and aren't affected by this one when they're young. So the fowl pox vaccine, or the vaccine that we're giving today, is administered through a wing web stab. You're going to dip the stabber in the vaccine. The vaccine will then deposit in those little divots on the needles, and then it's just a simple prick of the wing web, and you're done. What you'll notice afterwards, we really want to go back and look about 7 days later, and there's going to be a pox reaction there. You'll see 2 little divots where the stabber went through, and that's actually a immune reaction to the pox virus that we're giving, and that's all we're really ever going to see. That lesion will pretty much go away within 10 to 12 days. It'll be gone, and these birds will have lifelong immunity to pox. So as I mentioned earlier, we want to always keep our vaccines cold when we're applying them. What we're going to do now is mix them, and so we have a diluent and we have a lyophilized, this is actually the vaccine's in here, so there's a lyophilized pellet or freeze-dried pellet of vaccine. It's airtight, and as soon as we introduce moisture, this vaccine starts to die, right? Warm temperatures can also make it die faster. If it's interrupted in shipping and it gets to you warm, that's another thing that's not good. You always want to have vaccine and keep it cold. So what we're going to do first, we're going to open up the diluent, basically just snap the top, pull it off. It's a little aluminum seal. We want to be good too about not introducing contamination if possible. These birds are really resilient. We don't have to be super careful with it, but we want to keep our stabber clean as possible and keep our vaccines closed when we're not using them. I've got the freeze-dried component of the vaccine. I got my diluent. We're going to take the diluent, pour it in the vaccine, put the stopper back on it, give it a good shake for a couple seconds. You'll notice right away that vaccine, the actual lyophilized pellet, has already dissolved. It's in there, so it doesn't take much to get it back in solution. So at this point, this vaccine's ready to go. I've got the wing web stabber, I got the vaccine. I'm gonna put it back in the cooler to keep it cool. We're gonna get the birds and show you how to vaccinate. Out of all the vaccines we can give, this is actually probably one of the easiest. The mixing part's easy and the administration part's easy. You don't have to dilute anything. It's basically you just dip the wing web stabber into the vaccine and we apply it. So it really takes 2 people. And in this case today, I have my lovely assistant, Rachel, TPD's Chief Creative Director, responsible for all the great things that we do visually. And everything else too.
Yes.
Rachel, you want to take her legs and just keep a hand on her. I'm going to go around on the other side. One thing you want to do is make sure that you put this somewhere where if she does flop around, it's not going to get spilled and lose your vaccine. What we're going to do is apply the vaccine in the wing web. And so obviously she's well feathered now. We want to make sure that we kind of part those feathers and give the vaccine where it doesn't wipe off on the feathers before we give it. So Rachel's got her firmly held. Again, remember, there's a dye in here, so it will stain your hands. I'm gonna dip the vaccine in. That's all it is, it's really quick. And again, I'm gonna part those feathers. Got a good grasp of her wing just to make sure she doesn't flop around. And then it's just like that. So ideally we wanna give this vaccine between say 10 and 20 weeks of age, mainly because we want to do it before they go into egg production. It's not a bad thing to give it later, and these birds are already in production. But what we may see is, just like anything, us handling her is stress. Giving in the vaccine is going to be a little stressful. The reaction to the vaccine, although it's minor, is going to be stressful. So she may not lay an egg tomorrow, right? So I'm not going to be worried if she doesn't lay an egg, maybe for a day or 2. That's completely normal.
Is there an age it's too late to give the vaccine?
So if birds have already been exposed, like if your flock has already had pox, there's no reason to give the vaccine. The reason for vaccinating younger is really a commercial issue because we don't want to do anything to slow egg production or prevent egg production. And so this will, if you've got 10,000 hens and we vaccinated them when they were already in production, we probably see a several % decline in production. So one thing you'll notice too, we're doing the same wing, right? So I can go back later, again, we can look. You'll notice too, she got a lot of little down right there. It won't hurt her too much. Just if you pluck a few of those feathers out of there, because we want to make sure we get a good vaccination, it's not going to hurt her just a little bit. She's got the most out of all of them. But again, I want to make sure that we get a good vaccination.
I haven't done 20 years of... I went all the way through.
Yeah, you're supposed to.
All the way through the wing?
Yeah. We didn't talk about it, but I do this so often, didn't think. The point is to go all the way through the skin. So you're just going to stab it, literally stab it all the way through. You'll feel it go through. And yeah, and then you're done. Should take like a quick second. Roosters will also be tougher. They have tougher skin, just like older birds are going to be a little tougher as well.
Is that good?
There you go, perfect.
And right here?
Mm-hmm.
Just a little
perpendicular. There you go. There you go. So today we went over pox vaccination, which also included LT and AE. I hope you guys learned something. How to protect your flock, what to protect it from, how to give the vaccine, how to keep it safe, where you should potentially be giving this, like geographically anyway. All 3 of the things that we administered today vaccine-wise are important depending on where you live at. And again, if you've got any questions, hit us up at thepoultrydoc.com. I'm Dr. Blayne Moseshek. Thanks for joining us. Like and subscribe. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.